Good morning, guys. Happy Monday. We're moving a little slow in our household this morning. I don't know about you guys. Remember, we talked a little bit about that football survey on Friday about the amount of people that will go into work late or call in sick because of the Super Bowl. And I'm feeling that. I'm feeling it. So let's start today with an inspirational story to get us going on a Monday. I'm hearing Pinkalicious in the background, PBS Pinkalicious. So I'm going to walk over here for a second. Dad's hard at work too. So the Super Bowl MVP is a man named Julian Edelman. And he started his football career as a quarterback. And he was drafted by the New England Patriots just because, as Bill Belichick, the Patriots coach, said, he knew he could play football, but they didn't know what they were going to do with him. And so he ended up being transferred from being a quarterback, which is probably something he really loved to do, and he played in college, to being a wide receiver, and now he's Super Bowl MVP. So I feel like that's great inspiration for all of us who don't really know where the path is leading. I have no doubts that he thought, what are they talking about? They're going to make me a receiver? And now look at him. So I thought that was a really cool little fact to start off today. You also see on our site, I reposted Shaquem Griffin's speech from the NFL Honors Award, which is their annual event that they hold to honor different football players. And Shaquem Griffin is a defensive player for the Seattle Seahawks, and he was born with basically a left hand that wasn't formed. I think the umbilical cord got wrapped around his hand, and the doctor said we could try to fix it, but then the umbilical cord could get wrapped around something else and could be more dangerous to this baby. So the mother decided not to do anything, and the hand never formed. And later, when he was a couple years old, they decided to amputate his hand because it was giving him so much pain. And he made it to the NFL regardless of all of that. So you'll see part of his speech at the NFL Honors on our Instagram site if you haven't, and also on our website if you haven't seen it already. So those are two kind of cool stories from the NFL that I think are great to start off our Monday morning. Wouldn't you agree? Today's going to be this week's going to be a little bit of a heated week. And I just want to remind you that you're within 48 hours, really, of the State of the Union address. The State of the Union address will be Tuesday evening. And so just remember that there's a lot of posturing before this big speech, because there are those, both, Republicans and Democrats, trying to anticipate what the president is going to say. And just keep that in the back of your mind. No one really knows what the speech is going to talk about. We do know that border security is going to be a major thing that the president speaks about, because that's been a major platform of his since the very beginning and one of the top news items of the last several weeks. So a couple things on that today I want to mention to you. There is a big case in New York City against a man, El Chapo, the head of the Sinaloa drug cartel. That case is going to a jury today. And that's interesting to watch because of the case that's built against him and the claims against the drug cartel. And really what's been able to illuminate this sort of drug trade that's happening across the U.S. southern border. I read a really interesting article over the weekend. I was just skimming information, trying to find out confirmation about these additional U.S. active duty troops that are heading to the U.S. southern border. We'll talk about that in a moment. And I stumbled upon this article from November about El Chapo and his potential influence on where these caravans of folks are heading for Central America. Why are the caravans heading to Tijuana? Well, this writer asserted, and this was just one writer, that the reason why they were heading to Tijuana wasn't just because of the resources there, but because El Chapo and his drug cartel controlled that part of Mexico, and that, relatively speaking, it was more safe than the East Coast to travel, which would lead you more to the Texas border, because there were much more crimes against those that were heading to the U.S. southern border there. And so this writer was asserting, that was sort of an interesting influence by El Chapo on what we're seeing as far as migration patterns at the U.S. southern border. So I thought that was kind of an interesting fact. So we'll watch that case today and see what happens there. In the meantime, you're going to see headlines that the Pentagon is sending several thousand more troops to the U.S. southern border. I don't see an official press release on this from the Pentagon, in part because I think this has to do with a previous announcement that was made in early January that we already talked about. What we expect is about 4,300 active duty troops at the U.S. southern border, assisting Border Patrol, and also working on technology surveillance as well. Some of the Associated Press says they're going to be doing concertina wire on the border. Others say they're going to be helping Border Patrol with mobile surveillance. So it's a little bit vague, but I don't know, even though this is being presented as new news, I'm not sure if it's new news or this is just the evolution of what we're seeing as far as active duty troops. Remember, over the holiday, there was the announcement that the deployment would be extended throughout the year, and it looks like this is the continuation of that we're going to see active duty troops at the U.S. southern border until the end of September. So that's also in addition to that. So I just want to keep you updated on that. And there was one more thing I was going to mention about the U.S. southern border, but I'm not sure what it is right now. Anyhow, those are kind of the things that we're watching ahead of what President Trump is going to speak about at the State of the Union. So just want to keep you updated on that. The other thing that is happening today, just as sort of a point of reference, did you know it was 15 years ago that Facebook was created? I'm just curious how many of you still use Facebook and still love Facebook. There's been all sorts of privacy concerns, and that's a major issue for Facebook, but I'm just curious if you still find it an effective social media platform or not. Oh, this is the one thing that I forgot. And I think this is really important to mention when it comes to border security. This is it's perhaps kind of the most important story that I forgot, because it's the story that you might likely not see. There was a Border Patrol agent that was killed over the weekend, a woman that was almost a 16-year veteran of the Border Patrol, and seems by the press releases around her death very much loved by her colleagues. She was killed assisting a traffic stop. And turns out, according to the statistics that we see about Border Patrol agents, that traffic accidents are one of the major threats to their lives for obvious reasons. Like her, they were, assisting different traffic stops with local police. And this is what was happening to her. And it looks like, again, not all these statistics are very clear. It looks like this is the first death of a Border Patrol agent in a little bit over a year. So I want to keep that in mind, because I think we talk about Border Patrol these days in a way that is very political, because how can you not? It's a very political debate. But we don't want to forget that people that put on their uniform really put themselves in harm's way wherever they are. And I just wanted to make sure that we realize that also happened. So it's not necessarily confrontations with those at the border that are the most dangerous, although that is definitely a threat to Border Patrol. It's also, traffic accident. Looks like a car hit her while she was trying to help out on the side of a road. So just wanted you to have an idea about that. So again, expect a lot of emotion ahead of the State of the Union. Just kind of take it in and let it go by. On Tuesday night, I'll be watching the State of the Union, and we'll make sure that we have the highlights for you that we need, just to make sure that we're very clear about what the president is saying. Remember, last year's State of the Union was a really big deal. He mapped out a couple goals, some of which the president achieved, and we'll see what he says this year. So, okay, on that, let me know, one of the things we're looking at with the SmartHER News is how to evolve in the next year. And by the way, I had the craziest dream last night. One of those dreams that you can't remember, but it had to do with SmartHER News and being worried about making some sort of mistake, but about something totally unrelated to news coverage. So I don't really know what that is, but just let you know that I'm thinking about things a lot. Anyhow, I've really been thinking hard about Facebook and whether or not we need to really, really invest in resources there. And I'm just sort of curious if you think that's a good idea. Okay, guys, have a great Monday. Don't forget the model of Julian Edelman. You never know where life is going to lead you. Could be Super Bowl MVP for any one of you. In the meantime, have a great day and continue to let us know kind of what stories you'd like us to look into this week. All right?